So, a few days ago, when I did my rankings for the my rankings of the Batman movies from least favorite to favorite, I talked about when I was talking about Batman v Superman. I essentially was talking about how that movie did and didn't get right of what I'd like to see from future Batman movies. Now, listen. The funny thing is that this is, like I said, it came the closest to being what I'd like to see from future Batman movies. And don't misunderstand me. I'm really excited for the Batman. Like, the more, like, we get closer to it, I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be really, like, I'm really excited for a new Batman movie. Holy shit. Like, I can't believe this is going to be awesome. Like, there's, like, I just have that feeling in my bones where I'm like, I'm going to see something special. And yeah, it's also funny because today when I was going to do this video, my good friend Chris sent me this, Batman the Imposter, which for the longest time I thought was like a tie-in to, it was like part of the Batman universe. Like, I thought this was in continuity with Pattinson's Batman. Turns out it's not, but like you couldn't blame me for thinking that, right? Like, it looks exactly like his costume. I think that was the idea. But yeah, so I will be doing a review on this once I'm done reading it. I literally just got it today. Real quick, even Chris didn't know it got sent. Like, he didn't even know. Like, I texted him saying, "Hey Chris, got Batman the Imposter, thanks," and he went, "You did?" Yeah. Even he didn't know this got shipped to me, so this was really fun. That was a fun little mention, but yeah. Look, I'll be reviewing this once I'm done reading it. I'm really excited for this. It's going to be cool. So yeah, like I was saying, getting back to this, is that the one thing that I do want to see from Batman movies moving forward, I'm tired of the realism. I'm absolutely just exhausted from realism in Batman movies. Like, it's kind of lost its luster on me. The Nolan trilogies are cool, but even then, by the end, like, it was getting a little comic booky. But at the same time, like, I was like, it still has that gritty realism to it. And I get it. Batman's supposed to invoke, like, you can, if you were to do any character in DC, it'd be Batman first to do gritty realism. But the thing is, like, there are other characters who can do that. Like, I think the one who can do it most is the Question. Like, really, if you were to pick a grounded, gritty, very realistic story, it'd be the Question. And saying that out loud, I do want, like, I would not be opposed to a Question movie in the same vein of what we're doing with Batman movies. But here's the thing of realism in Batman. You can't do it. You really can't, because there's no one on Earth who can do what Batman's done. Literally travel around the world and study all these cool fighting moves and learn chemistry and all that, and, like, literally do all of that before you hit 20 years old is impossible. Like, that's very impossible. And I think, like, that's the thing, is that a lot of people forget that Batman, at his core, is not a realistic character. Like, and I know, that's such a thing to say, it's like heresy, you know? Batman's a totally realistic character. He can fight, gods and aliens, he knows all these kung fu moves, he also can, like, slow his breathing down to look like he's dead, he also knows everything, and he's, like, prepped for everything. Oh, I see your point. Yeah. So realistic. And that's what I think we need, what I want to see from movies, from future Batman movies going forward, is, like, I want that realism out the window. I mean, you can do realism and grittiness in a comic book movie. We've seen it 100 times over. But I think, like, the thing, like, I don't get it about Batman movies is that when it comes to doing a Batman movie, for the most part, people are like they hit the brakes on that kind of fun comic book nature to it. And I'm not saying Batman needs to be fun. I'm just saying, like, you need to understand what you're making when you're doing a comic book movie sometimes. And I think that's one of the things that we need to, like, Hollywood needs to move forward with, is not be afraid to really invoke, like, the fun campy nature to Batman, but still, you can still do that realism. You can still do it. You can still do that gritty, dark feel to it, and, you know, hold true to it. That's the big thing, is that Batman v Superman was the closest. Sorry, I got like this weird, like, I think I got an ant bite and it's like driving me nuts. Sorry. So, yeah, that's the thing, is that there is this like stigma that you can't do to do Batman any other way is stupid. And like, here along comes back the DC Extended Universe Batfleck, and it gets close to it, but it's like it still is afraid to go the extra mile. You know what I mean? Like, it's still like, it's embracing that Batman can live in a world of gods and monsters, but like, it's still afraid to go that extra mile and wants to make Batman like some psycho killer. It's insane. Like, it's a paradox in of itself. That's what I meant when I was doing my review, when I was talking about my rankings of the Batman movies, is because it did and didn't at the same time embrace like the fun parts of Batman and still keep true to a dark, gritty film. And yeah, now you're probably sitting there thinking, there's no way you can mix the realism with the grittiness and the comic book, gritty realism with fun comic aspects. That's impossible. You know, there's no way to do it. To which I go, au contraire. Has anyone, show of hands, who's played the Arkham games? Oh, everyone? Everyone's played the Arkham games? There you go. It literally tells a dark, gritty story and a very human story at the same time, while embracing the fact that you have Joker literally becoming a giant clown monster, you have Clayface, and you have whatever the hell Arkham Knight was trying to do. Let's not talk about that. And the reason why I kind of wanted to do this video to begin with, and what really kind of drove me to want to do this video, was because it's already been, like, Matt Reeves has already said in an interview, and it's been reinforced today, that, yeah, they're already in talks to do a second film. And I'm already going to tell you right now, I think it's going to be Court of Owls as the main villain. I think, like, that's the drive. And the reason why I think it's going to be Court of Owls is because they're talking about Gotham's past. Court of Owls are all over that, and literally, Matt Reeves was talking about it. Robert Pattinson has talked about wanting the Court of Owls, and now Paul Dano, who's playing the Riddler, has talked about wanting the Court. I think they're building to the Court of Owls. There's like no, like, they're being cheeky about it, but like, they're all saying like, maybe the Court of Owls. So I'm like, it's more like, I'm 85% sure it's the Court of Owls. And that's the thing, is like, that's the perfect opportunity to do kind of really embrace that kind of comic booky fun, and still keep that dark realism. Is that the Court of Owls are a perfect mix of that. Like, outside of like Joker and a few other villains, like, the Court of Owls are literally like, they're the elite of Gotham who've been ruling over Gotham City since its inception, and at the same time, they have literally immortal assassins that they keep on ice, and also have hallucinogenic water and a maze underneath Gotham that they kill people with for fun. It's perfect. Right? It's perfect. And the other thing, and this is what really set me off on wanting to do this video, not in a mean way, but like, Matt Reeves talked about in an interview that another villain he wants to use is Mr. Freeze in a movie, and he said, I think there's a perfect way to do a realistic version of Freeze. And I went, no, there's not. It's a guy who lives in a Sub-Zero suit with a giant ice gun, who's going around trying to save his wife, who he keeps frozen like a goddamn snow globe. There's no realism there. Like, you really that's a character you really have to embrace. With this, is that, yeah, you can probably give him like a bulkier, like more real, like, you could give him a suit, but like, you gotta give him the I want to see Freeze with the ice gun, not making ice puns, obviously, but I want to see him with the ice gun, and kind of just do the Heart of Ice story from Arkham Origins. Like, that was the perfect way to do a Mr. Freeze story. And yeah, that, like, I just want to see that. Like, would it be so hard, really? Like, show of hands, do you think it would be so hard for anyone, and I do stress anyone, to be opposed to the idea of seeing Batman fight, like, and I'm not talking Killer Croc, but like Clayface or Grundy. Like, would anyone does anyone would anyone love to see that in a realistic tone of not realistic, but like a darker tone movie? And you have Batman like, oh shit, it's Clayface, or oh shit, it's Grundy, or the Mindbender, for God's sake. Or yeah, I'm not saying like I'm not excited for the Batman. I'm just saying like I think it's high time we kind of embrace this. I think we need to drop the whole let's stop making a realistic Batman, because at his core, Batman's not realistic. It's a millionaire white guy who knows everything and can do everything. Whoop-de-frickin-do. It's a power fantasy, really. It's a straight up speaking as a fan of DC Comics, it's a goddamn power fantasy. I think we just need to like accept the fact that Batman is not we are not Batman. Like, we're not supposed like, oh yeah, we can sympathize with him, but like wanting to be Batman, like that's an unattainable thing, really. And I mean, you could keep the values of wanting to be a good person despite, you know, having a traumatic event. That I can see. Like, that I really like respect with people when they say like, you know, I love Batman because he helped me get I got over a traumatic experience, and reading those comics helped me. That's a perfect way to look at it. Like, you know, that's a perfect way to really like look at his situation. But like trying to like emulate Batman and be like just completely like try to say Batman's one of us, like Batman's just a normal dude. He's not. So I think it's time we kind of embrace that and just do like a movie in the vein of like Arkham City or like a more adult version of the 90s cartoon. Yeah, I think that's just height. And again, like, it's almost kind of infuriating because, again, like, I have to say that the closest that got that perfect, that hit that mark of comic book with the dark realism was Batfleck. Now, you could say, yeah, but what about the Michael Keaton movies? Like, they were dark, and they also had that comic book fun. That's true. That's very true. But again, it goes the whole Batman's killing people, and, you know, Batman Returns is Batman Returns. It's very Tim Burton Unleashed. But I would now, like, saying that out loud, like, yeah, the one who really hit the stride, who got closest to what we really want to see in a Batman movie was Batman '89. Like, that was the closest to like what I think a lot of people want to see these days, is like something in the vein of that, like something in that same vein as, like, you know, Batman '89. And I think we could have gotten that in Ben Affleck's Batman movie had it not been canceled. So yeah, like that, I think that would have been like that would have been the other one if not it'd been canceled. But then again, you know, after the massive reception towards the Snyder cut of Justice League, there's been a lot of like money talks. Really, like money really is the one that talks. So yeah. So who knows? Maybe that will come back. And yeah, and the other thing is, like, you know, saying all this, like, oh, Matt Reeves just wants to do gritty, realistic movies with Batman. There's always the chance that Matt Reeves could just go, fuck it, and just be like, let's really embrace the comic book stuff. Like, let's really embrace, like, Mr. Freeze in a big-ass robot suit with a big ice gun. Or, like, maybe we can have Clayface or Grundy in another film. Or Killer Croc, not just a gangster with a skin condition, but, like, he's big and, like, he can take a lot of punishment. I would not, like, that's the other thing. I'd like to see Batman villain, like, I think the major ones we've seen enough of. I think it's time to do some other ones. Like, as much as I love Penguin, it's time to do another it's time to let's do Killer Croc, or maybe Scarecrow again, but more like we go more in depth and make him like a main focus instead of a lackey. Like, I would be okay if we did another take on Scarecrow, because the Nolan trilogy, he's just there as a supporting character or a lackey. That's really it. So maybe like a full Scarecrow movie where he's the big villain would probably, like, I would like to see that more. So, in conclusion, I just want to see, like, bottom line, I just want to see like the Arkham games made into a movie, like a live action Arkham's games movie. Is that too much to ask? I don't know. But you guys tell me in the comments below. What do you guys want in future Batman movies? Just comment below. Let me know. As always, if you haven't already, hit the link below to my Patreon, where if you hit the 4th tier, you can not only get the exclusive videos over on my Patreon, but also request videos for me to do here on Patreon. So, I mean, not Patreon, YouTube, excuse me. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.